I really wanted to call this podcast because I thought it was so genius, but somebody already took it. Uh, I wanted to call it the Parallax Review, but somebody took it, and fuck you for stealing my idea for a podcast name. But I'll just call it the Cinema Insult Podcast. Since that's my old YouTube channel name. But anyways, whatever. Today I'm joined with Zachary,
Hi.
and today we are talking about La Belle Noiseuse, or English translation, The Beautiful Troublemaker. It is a 1991 film by Jacques Rivette. It stars Michel Piccoli. I can't even fucking. I hate these fucking these fucking French ass Italian. Michel
It's
Piccolo.
like, dude, it's like 5 words.
Michel Piccoli. Jane Birkin. And Emmanuelle Brett. Yeah, Emmanuelle Brett, right?
I think it's just Beart, isn't it?
Brett?
Beart.
Brett? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't speak French, so I can't. I'm not good with these names. But anyways, we all know these actors. We've all seen them before. Now this movie won. Since every podcast, every movie is chosen by poll votes, and this one won the poll.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and I'm trying to remember what the other movies were. I don't remember. I think it was Guilty of Romance. So this one beat out Guilty of Romance. It beat out Sid and Nancy, and I don't remember the other one. It was some other movie.
I don't know.
I don't think got any votes. But anyways, so yeah. This is a movie that's I guess loosely based off of a short story. Kinda, not really. So anyways, this movie it's about this for this old guy who is in a age gap relationship with Jane Birkin. Michel Piccoli, his character is some old guy that's in an age gap relationship with Jane Birkin. He's a painter. He hasn't painted a painting in like a decade. He's very bored with painting. He hasn't had any inspiration in a long time. And he used to paint his wife Jane Birkin, but the thing is, she's a lot older now. She's like middle aged now and stuff, and he still loves her and everything, but he doesn't. She isn't really his like muse anymore, and because he likes them young, and there's a guy and his girlfriend, his wife, are there. I'm trying to remember why. I think he's a photographer. If I'm trying to remember right, he's a photographer. And then his girlfriend's like the model, and so they're staying there, and Michel Piccoli decides that this is the perfect woman to be my muse for my new painting or painting series of paintings or whatever. Yeah, so she becomes his muse. So the whole entire movie is them collaborating and him painting her, and she's naked throughout almost the whole movie, and yeah, it's all about the artistic process. But while that's going on, Jane Birkin is jealous, and she's mad that he's painting this young dime piece, and yeah, that's the whole entire movie. It's just about the artistic process between these two, and it's 4 hours long, or three. It's like 3 hours and 57 minutes. The interesting thing is, a long time ago, we talked about love exposure on a old podcast, and that was the longest movie we talked about, and this movie actually is longer than love exposure. Now the interesting thing about this movie is, well, I watched this in 2 days. I split it because this movie is split up in two parts, and the interesting thing about this movie is, and I said the same thing about love exposure, but this movie does not really feel its length. It actually it goes by pretty quick. Even though there's not a lot that happens in it, it just goes by pretty fast. And the interesting thing, I'll actually say this, I think even this movie, it's funny because, yeah, it's longer than Love Exposure, but I think this movie actually feels like it goes by way faster than that movie. And yeah, but it's I don't mind it being how long it is, but I don't know, me personally,
Could you not hear me?
It doesn't really need to be that long. What was that?
Did you not hear me?
Oh, did you say something?
I did. I was just concurring. Yeah, love exposure.
Yeah.
I should have fucked up. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it doesn't it really doesn't really need to be as long as it is, I think. But yeah, what is interesting about the movie is, it follows the entire artistic process, almost like feeling like real time. But something that did annoy me about this movie is, so you're seeing the artistic process. You're seeing him painting her, sketching her, and everything. And what really annoyed me, to the point I had to mute it, you hear the sounds of, like, like the brush and everything, but you hear the sound of, like, the fucking what you gonna call it, like the stencil or whatever, just like the scraping sound, that you hear that, like, for like 10 minutes straight. And I'm somebody who's actually, like, hypersensitive to those sounds. Like, if I hear that, my toes curl up. I don't like I don't like the sound of like, I don't really like the sound of, like, scraping wood, or like I don't know, just stuff like that. I'm somebody too who's I'm also, like, sensitive to, like, certain, like, wooden spoons and things like that, like certain, like, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, like, what's that fabric called? I don't know. I'll edit this part out because I don't remember the name. But, like, there's stuff like that, like, I'm sensitive towards, and yeah, when I hear that sound, my fucking my toes curl up. I cannot. It's like I would describe this movie as like this is evil ASMR, but evil, and uh yeah, it's fucking. I had to mute the movie because of it. I saw a lot of reviews of this, and a lot of people praise it, for those scenes, and a lot of people too say, "Oh, this movie's so soothing," and it's like I was fucking like in pain the whole time watching it. I just can't stand those sounds of like, and yeah, it. But anyways, um, uh, do you have a sensitivity to certain sounds like that?
You haven't even asked me if I like the movie.
Hold on. Do you have any sensitivities to certain sounds like that?
No, and well, it rewatching it because I've seen this movie once before. Rewatching it, I was a little like, oh, that's a kind of a dreadful sound. But as I just
Yeah.
kept watching and putting and like whatever, I became like accustomed to it, and it took on a more hypnotic sort of uh presence for me.
Right.
Um,
Oh, I didn't even say if I liked the movie or not yet either. Um,
fucking
well, yeah.
awful.
What else say? What do you think of the movie?
I love this movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a very special movie.
Mm.
I'm guessing you didn't fuck with it.
Oh no, 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 no. I liked it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um. I like this movie. I might actually watch it again, maybe
Yeah.
some other time. Yeah, I like this movie. Did I love it? No, I didn't love it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good movie, but I don't. It's a movie that a lot. That's why I was surprised it was won the poll. This is like a kind of considered a masterpiece, a masterclass film. But nah, I like it though. Um, Anywho, I have a lot of notes about this movie. Let's go through them. So let's go through. All right, let's go through the cast. So, I think the cast was really good. Uh, I talked briefly about Jane Birkin's character, um, and Michel Piccoli's character. It's pretty interesting. He he's an artist, but he seems like a very realistic character. Um, he's like sensitive, but at the same time, he's like very like domineering, kind of like he's a perv. Uh, but he's a perv. But what I liked about this movie is they didn't have like a low blow moment where like he ends up raping her for no reason or something. Like a lot of movies, they'll do that. Like they'll just throw a scene in there like that. Like, and you're always like, why is that in there? But throughout the entire movie, he doesn't like do like anything like sexual with her, and she's just simply his muse. And yeah, which I thought was interesting and a breath of fresh air, because these movies they always have to make it they fuck, or usually it's like like he rapes her for no reason or whatever. Like that's what a lot of these type of movies do. Uh, and Yeah, if it was a Lars von Trier movie, he would like be raping her for no reason. Uh, and uh, yeah, but this movie has a little more class. And Yeah, it's a very interesting character. And also Emmanuelle's character is interesting. And what did you think about her?
Um, I enjoyed her character. I appreciated her character. She wasn't really the main point of interest to me. I think I was much more interested in Jane.
Yeah,
And Michelle, however
Michelle.
it's
Yeah,
Michelle. Um, but I do think she was really great. Um, uh, and obviously, is stunning physically,
she had
which
diabetes.
is normally I don't think I'd bring that up so quickly, but it's basically like actually important for a character that she be
Yeah,
like what she looks like.
yeah,
I also must give a shout out to Dasha's review, which
yeah.
was, if memory stands, I pulled it up earlier.
It's,
Dirty old man plays mind games with a pog.
yeah,
I thought that rocked.
yeah. She a pog. Yeah.
She has a
And
great ass.
I have to point out too that her boyfriend or I think it's her boyfriend.
Yeah, you've left that out.
In the movie, David, the actor David Bursztein, he, you know who he looks like,
Who?
and I was like, wow, he looks like a tall and handsome version of Ralph the Movie Maker.
That's pretty funny. He's not. What do you mean? He's not handsome though.
Yeah, that's what I was
Ralph.
thinking the whole time. I was a bit distracted. And then fucking there's also the art dealer guy,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gills or Brana, I think that's his name, actor's name. Sounds like some Star Wars character. He's a kind of interesting character. He has like narcolepsy for whatever reason.
I like that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie when he just has a fucking seizure all of a sudden or
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
Yeah, I think they said epilepsy, but I think it was just like narcolepsy because he just passes out, like falls asleep. So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, interesting cast of characters, um, and also get into the technical stuff. Um, I like the soundtrack. I really like the soundtrack of this movie. Um, but they used music from uh, Igor Stravinsky. Um, he used his pieces of music, and
I barely remember the music.
oh really? It actually like stood out to me. There's not a lot of music in the movie though.
Yeah.
It's mostly silent. But when they have like the opening
Well,
to
not
like
silent as you've made clear. Far from
yeah.
silence.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was saying there's not a lot. There's not like a soundtrack. I mean,
Oh,
there
I know.
is only in the opening
There's not a lot of
titles.
score to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a Michel Haneke movie or whatever. It's kind of like that where there's no score. It's actually very similar. It's kind of similar to his movies, sort of, where there's not like score and there's like the scenes that are kind of like in real time, kind of drag out like people doing something, but you know, realistically in real time, kind of.
I wish I've seen any other Rivette films because
I've never seen any of his other movies. This is my first one actually.
yeah, this has been my only Rivette. So I wish I had something to sort of compare it to a little bit because I
Yeah,
wonder how much he uses music because I know that like lengthwise he's pretty consistent. He's usually in that like 3-ish hour ballpark, but I really wonder how he handles like sound.
yeah. Yeah, he's one of those directors. There's a lot of directors he's in that kind of like ballpark directors where I'm just now watching. Like I knew about him for years, but it's just now I'm watching his movies. Like there's so many like filmmakers I've never seen like filmography wise that a
Yeah.
lot of like think I probably already have or should. Yeah, he's one of those. But you know, there's just too many movies out there, and uh, it's like really hard to fucking watch everybody's like filmography. uh,
No, yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's just too many directors. Um, but uh, and then I love the cinematography by William Lebchansky, and
Hmm.
I've never seen any of the other movies he's done cinematography wise, but he's done a lot of movies, and a lot of his movies. Um, and I love the cinematography a lot. I love the framing of this movie, but also what I like about this movie, not just the cinematography, but also the just the overall like atmosphere of this movie. Um, that's why I like what I like about the movie, that there's not much score, because you really like all like the background sounds and everything. Uh, it really captures that like like summer
Mm.
uh vibe or whatever, like you know, like in this movie they're staying, you know, as guests in this house or whatever, but it really captures that vibe, like staying in like a house in the
I
summer,
I
or
adore the towards the end, the like garden stuff or whatever.
yeah.
Really phenomenal.
Yeah, the color this movie has when it comes to the interior design of the play. I don't know how much of it's like sets or whatever. They just filmed it in a real house or whatever. But I would say like the interior design, even the way they dress and just everything. Like that's I really like the color palette
Hmm.
of this film. Uh, and yeah, it just captures that like low, like that kind of like quiet summer, that quiet summer horny vibe, like when you're like
Mm.
horny in the summertime and you're like staying at somebody's house for a long time vibe. It really
That
captures it.
honestly really
Or like
does sum it
fleeing.
up very well.
Yeah.
Like a lazy, like sweaty, like
Yeah,
horny, just like
sweaty,
in the
like
garden.
so like even though there's not like fucking in this movie, but like
Hmm.
summer fleeing kind of vibe. It's well, also like bringing that up. This movie blatantly is definitely influenced "Call Me by Your Name," like blatantly. And that movie like has like the same exact, obviously
Forget
the same
about it.
exact vibe, but also just like everything from how it's shot to
I mean,
even the
all of
house they're
fucking.
in, like it I swear to God, like it looks like, I know that like in that movie it's Italy, but like it like exactly the same, like even like the whole setup and everything. And there's
So
even a
much of
scene.
Guadagnino's shit is just ripped straight from this and Last Tango. You know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and Last Tango. There's another movie I watched recently that also um fuck, what was it? There's some other movie that I watched recently. I was like, holy shit, like this is Call Me by Your Name. But yeah. Also, there's a scene in this. There's a lot of scenes with like you know, where like they're drinking orange juice,
Yep, yep.
whatever, and
I'm rolling.
it's exactly like in color. There's a scene where they're drinking, or it's exactly like the same shot. It looks like the same the outside
Dude.
table, even like the background looks exactly the same. Like It's
I'm
almost
rolling the film as we speak, and I was looking at that orange juice, and I was just thinking, God damn it, I want Jane Birkin to pour me a glass of orange juice in that fucking garden while my dick's all hard, you know?
yeah, it's yeah, um, yeah. Guadagnino clearly influenced by this movie. Um, and also the title of the movie, um, which they say in the movie, and I love movies. This is what I do now. I don't remember where I heard this from, but I heard that uh, it's really stupid. I don't know remember who it was, but somebody that had like ran a film festival or something, where they would screen like older movies and stuff, and whenever a movie would say the title of the movie in the movie, the audience would get up and like applaud. And now every time I watch movies and they say the title of the movie, I get up in my own room and clap. And I do that to
that's
this movie. That's
that's honestly like mad funny. I really.
yeah. And they say the title of the movie quite a bit because it's that's the like name of the painting in the movie. So
Technically, the way the dialogue presents it, the name of the movie is really The Beautiful Nut.
yeah, that's what's funny because the English title is The Beautiful Troublemaker, but it is The Beautiful Nut. Yeah, and um, actually, Nissus translates to hazelnut, um, which is
Yeah.
interesting. But uh,
You'd think it'd be nuisance, or at least my foolish American self did think it would just
yeah,
be like, oh, it's nuisance. But I guess not.
yeah. So because of the movie, like I said earlier, um, he wants to make this masterpiece, but he doesn't really have any inspiration. And he had this idea of the painting a long time ago called La Belle Noiseuse, and the original muse for the painting was his wife, Jane Birkin's character. But he decided like I'm gonna uh, go back to that idea and actually make it into a thing. But instead of Jane Birkin, it's Manuel's character, and it's actually kind of funny because uh, and it's weird too because in the movie he does explain what it means, and yeah, he does say it's like a
No,
nutty
she
woman.
says, and that's like the
Oh yeah,
point of identification or whatever. She's like, yeah,
but
exactly. This
but
bitch.
in the English title does not it doesn't really translate well, and it's not
Mhm.
exactly what it says. But the weird thing about it though is in the movie, like when I saw the first scene of the movie, I immediately knew why it was called the Beautiful Troublemaker because she seemed like a bit mischievous or
Mhm.
whatever. So I was like, oh, that's why it's called that, the Beautiful. And I don't think she's even that much of a. I wouldn't describe her much as like a troublemaker or whatever. But in that like first like two scenes or whatever, she was kind of a bit mischievous, and that's what I took
I
about it.
fucking adore that opening scene, by the way. It's so fucking French. I love it.
Yeah,
Like, it gets my dick so hard, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and so yeah, like I said earlier, the movie is about their artistic process, and it's very interesting that it's a very interesting film because of that because it does perfectly capture the feeling of not being like fully fulfilled with your art, even like as much effort you put into it and hard work, you're still kind of like it could be better, and it captures that, and that is this is kind of getting spoilers, but that's kind of the irony of the ending of the movie, which I liked because like you know, because the whole reason the movie point of the movie is he you know, he's like, I'm only gonna wait till I have a great idea, and he says like till I have a masterpiece or nothing. And he so you know, this girl comes along, he decides, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna actually try making this old idea come to life, and try making a masterpiece. And it does take him a while, and to the point where he kind of gets a little bit loopy, kind of over it, because he spent so much like willpower on it. And she gets really like kind of annoyed, uncomfortable, not just mentally but physically uncomfortable, because you know how long she has to like model and stay still for long periods. But both of them pull through and actually like go for it. And even though it kind of makes them crazy. And so what happens, this is the irony, is he finishes it. But and the thing about the movie too, you do see like what the painting is it's gonna look like, but you actually don't see the finished product. It's off camera, and the only people that see it are, well, he sees it because obviously he finished it, but Jane Birkin sees it and is like pretty much jealous of it. And anyway, so he decides that he's like, nah, I'm gonna you know, he's like, this isn't it. And he decides to, with the help of his daughter, their daughter, they decide he's just gonna bury it in the wall with cement and bricks, and you'll never see it again. But the funny thing is, he just goes fuck it, and he just like whips out, like he just fucking like does like a painting, a new one within a day, which is kind of, I guess, similar but not really. And that's what he shows. That's the one he shows to everybody. And that's the whole irony of it, is that that's the thing with the artistic process. Like a lot of times when we spend like a lot of time on something, we don't really actually need to. And that a lot of times the thing we don't actually put much thought into, or like we finish very quickly, actually ends up like way better than.
Well, it's not. I read it differently.
You do?
I read that as his passion or whatever was creating this like actual piece or whatever, a piece which is hidden even from us, the audience or whatever. And we catch a glimpse of it, and we recognize that it's like different from the one that we do see, which is just like this portrait from behind or whatever, of her. And not being, I think the way I read it was, he was satisfied with having created it, and he didn't feel the need to drag it out more into the world and put more pressure on his like wife, and therefore, you know, himself. And he was happy, I read it as, that he had completed his actual like interest, and he knew that to satisfy some sort of demand outside of him, maybe commercial, maybe just personal, whatever, ego, any number of things, he dashes out this other thing, which to anyone else is whatever, but to him is just, you know. Anyway, that was my read.
That is actually a good read on it. That's actually probably a better read. That's also why too he doesn't like when he's like hiding that paint, the burying that, or the painting within that cement wall. I don't think that's why he doesn't really seem to like give a shit anymore. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, and yeah, because I think he's just finally done. Well, that's the whole point. The movie is ultimately about, it's, you know, it's that classic saying like, it's all about the process or about the journey. It's not about the actual result of not just like an art, no, not just an art piece, but just like anything in life in general you're going after. It's all about the process. Uh, you know, even if we're not like talking about like anything related to art, like another movie that has nothing to do with art, but that's like the whole point of that's the whole point of Rocky One. It's all just about his process of going there, but the result never actually like mattered. Him boxing and never losing never actually really mattered at the end. It's just about that he actually went through the process. That's all like he kind of like. That's why he was like satisfied. That's all it really was. It wasn't about the fight or anything. It was just about which the fucking the sequels kind of miss that point. But
Right.
yeah, that's the whole point of the movie. It's not about uh it's about the process that he went the distance. Same with Michel's character in this. He went the distance with his painting. It's not about the actual outcome of the painting really. It's just that he actually went through the motions of making it, and then he did it, and that's it pretty much.
I think that now the guy who faints, what was his deal exactly again?
I
Other
think
than like him and the wife or whatever, because there was sort of a something mild, well, not mild, I shouldn't say it, but some whatever. What was his like role, so to speak?
which are you talking about the
The guy who has
narcolepsy?
the seizure, the
Oh
narcolepsy.
well, he's the art dealer guy. He's the
Right,
guy that
exactly. I didn't want to sound stupid. That's why I wanted to make sure. But
yeah
my
he's the
read
art
on
dealer
that
guy. He
part of
knows
it,
him. He's like
yeah,
sold
yeah,
he's bought and like his paintings and stuff and
that
uh,
that's why I had that particular read on the ending, also because by painting out this like half-assed, or at least for him half-assed, like painting, he was satisfying one, that boyfriend guy who's represents on a broader sense like the art world at large and sort of acclaim from one's like peers or
mhm.
whatever, and then on the other side there's the commerce end that he would need to satisfy just to live, because he lives off of he's the moneymaker there,
Right.
and his
And she
work has
also
got
breaks
him.
up with the boyfriend too.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And there's also the
Touched by a
movie
better
too. They
artist.
imply that they don't do anything, but they imply that uh, out of jealousy or resentment, that him and Jane Birkin like kind of bond over that they're spending way too much time together, and there is kind of a thing like
Mm-hmm.
an unspoken like thing, like you can tell there's some like tension, but they don't really like do anything.
No, yeah.
And it only exists because they're fucking mad that or jealous that their partners are spending so much time together. And well, and that's what they resent too, because it's not just spending time, but it's about the whole context. Like she's fucking naked the whole time, and
Sure, yeah.
yeah,
And replacing her, obviously.
yeah,
I mean, you know, at least as far, and I really do like appreciate very much the reservedness or whatever, because it could just be like fun or whatever to
mm-hmm.
like make them fuck or have him rape her, or like even just have Jane Birkin fuck the boyfriend, or
Yeah,
any number of things, and it could have like worked in and of itself, but I it and it this is why I think it's special, just because it's, to me, very like effortlessly creates an entire tone and presence, using all the stuff at its disposal: story, acting, cinematography, etc. And when you think about it, not a lot of films actually do that. A lot of films are actually kind of disjointed in some way,
yeah,
because I mean, any number of reasons, but yeah.
correct. Yeah, um, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like that's what I like about it, that it didn't go. I feel like that's the thing that bothers me a lot about a lot of these type of movies is they go that route, or it has to be obvious, like, oh, they end up fucking, or like I said,
Yeah.
like a rape scene for no reason.
Mhm.
And this movie doesn't do that. And yeah, I think this movie too, like it feels more realistic in that way. Uh, because I picture like something like this happening in real life in this way. Uh, you watch a lot of movies and it's like, oh, you're watching it and you're kind of like, I don't know about that. I don't know if they would do that or whatever. But this movie, I feel um, like down to everything the things they do in it, to like how they talk to each other. I just feel like it's very realistic and authentic, like how it would be like in real life if this situation happened. And yeah, that's what I like about it.
It is remarkably. It feels very true to life.
Mhm.
I like that specifically, and again, I'm just letting this thing play out uh silently in the background here, so I can look over it and remember things, I guess. But I like that her and the art dealer guy, Jane and the art dealer guy, like it's pretty much obvious that they have some sort of like history or whatever.
Mhm.
And I feel like not a lesser, even just a quicker to get bored filmmaker would probably amp that up. But of course, this reflects life in an interesting way, in that that tension wouldn't like fucking reach any sort of like deep like fever pitch. Even it would sort of drift. And the same goes for Jane and the boyfriend. I wish I could remember the boyfriend's name, but I'm never fucking gonna.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I like that that drifts, and I like that basically all these people would probably be like happy to like fuck each other basically,
Mhm.
but they don't, because that's just not who they are as people.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I've never seen. Oh my god, my cinephile cred's gonna fucking. I'm gonna lose it all after saying this, but I've never seen
Speak your truth.
the film Jean Dielman. Never seen it. My cred is gonna be gone after me saying that.
I mean, is it
But
even? I don't know.
but what I like to say about that movie, that movie, what I've heard is also 4 hours long, and uh, that movie kind of similar to this has the like this movie is about the artistic process or the painting process, and everything's in real time. That movie has a similar thing where it's about her like cleaning her kitchen nonstop, but it's all like in real time. And yeah, there's something about the. I didn't even write that in my notes, but I just immediately thought about it. But like I've noticed that the French are into this type of thing, uh, capturing mundane things in real time.
Oh, of course, of course.
I don't
Yeah,
know what it is. I don't know, but
cinema verite.
yeah.
This
I didn't have anything profound to say about that, but I just had to bring that up. That
No, I mean it's
uh,
worth bringing up. This film definitely feels like, of a certain tradition. You know, I mean I don't think it's like quite like the Paul Schrader idea of transcendental cinema or whatever, but it does. You can tell that it kind of branches from that sect,
yeah, it's
as opposed to say like a hyper real, if whatever, etc., etc. You know.
yeah, well, it was a Paul Schrader movie. He would have like some eternal issues, like mommy issues or something, and then uh, he might like have. I don't think his character would be that crazy, but it would probably he'd probably have like an outburst or like probably would actually rape her or something. I don't know.
Chance, I maybe either way, it'd be a lot more voiceover. A lot more voiceover.
Yeah.
I'd be happy. I'd be happy to see Paul how Paul would approach this if he'd try to go like
Yeah.
first reformed or if he'd go more light sleeper because I feel like those would be the two main modes. You know.
Yeah. But there it would definitely explore like he'd probably have some like yeah, like internal issues and would explore that a lot. This movie like it's it's pretty vague about like what his motive is or whatever. I think or why he's doing all this or painting this, but the thing is it's pretty I think it's pretty basic and as
Yeah.
in it's just he's just an old guy. He's just a dude that likes uh beautiful naked women. He's French and he's like I want to paint a painting of a beautiful woman. Here's this beautiful woman here. I might
But
as well
it
just
doesn't
use
even. I
puberty,
mean,
but it's not in like it's not
it's not. It's not. Maybe libidinal isn't the right word because I mean I'm sure there's some sort of a libido to it, but it's not just in the sense of like you like look at like say De Palma film or whatever. I can't think of any painters to really compare him to. But think of like an earlier De Palma film. You can tell De Palma's horny, like a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah.
This guy isn't like horny. Like he's happy. I mean, whatever. You don't get the impression that he's like a eunuch, and you definitely know that he like is like his wife. I love. It's a beautiful scene after the first. It's the first. Yeah, I think it's the first painting session where he goes out with his wife and they walk through the courtyard or whatever the fuck, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and he like moves his hand down and like pinches her ass, like puts his hand in
Oh
her
yeah,
back
yeah.
pocket and like gooses her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls him a bastard, and it's very sweet, and it feels like.
Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of moments in this movie where you're reminded that he loves his wife and he is attracted to his wife and isn't interested in just trying to like get some side puss from his like models.
right. And that's what I was like. That's what I like about this movie, and it is different in that aspect because a lot of movies like about this kind of subject matter, or it's as I was saying, it's always kind of goes into like a negative direction. That's what it's saying. Oh, he's cheating. If it was in some other movie, it'd be cheating or abusive or whatever. But it does. It never goes there, uh, and that's what I like about it. And that's it does feel realistic in that aspect that it doesn't go there. Because like in real life, this situation would more likely go the direction this movie um is presenting, and uh uh yeah, and I love yeah, I really like those moments like where he pinches her ass. It just and like it feels it's genuine. You really
Mm-hmm.
do feel the relationship between
Mm-hmm.
it, and it feels too that you can tell they've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
Like you feel that because a lot of movies they'll say like a characters will say, oh yeah, we've been together for like 15 years or whatever, but the thing is you see them being a good couple, but you don't really actually like feel it or notice anything really. It's pretty vague in a lot of movies, but this one you really do feel that they've been together for a long time and know each other very well. They're very comfortable around each other. And yeah, and I was actually a bit surprised. I kind of assumed because of that him and uh because I don't know much about Jane Birkin, but I always assumed like, oh, did they like date or something at one time or something? But they didn't, because their chemistry almost felt like, oh, did these actors in real life dated?
It's really special. It's really special, I must say.
Yeah, and Yeah, because I know that I wouldn't have been surprised if they did, because of James Birkin's like type. She
He's
liked
not her
like
type. He's just old.
she kind of like that like kind of guys that
Like
had that like
scumbags though. This
dirty old
guy's
man
just got
kind of.
like slightly longish hair. His bald on his beautiful balding head. He is handsome.
Yeah,
He's very like attractive in his nice, old man way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She
Actually, wait a minute. I think pretty much everybody in this movie is like fuckable, save for that 12-year-old
yeah,
miniature.
that's why I was saying earlier. Like that's why I say it's like very. It just feels horny.
It's a horny ass movie without
Yeah,
being like, whatever. It's not Verhoeven.
yeah, and Verhoeven is an example. Um, not knocking him, but yeah, like he's
No.
a director that will go over the top with
Well,
it. Like there would be a
that's
rape
his
scene or
zone.
something. And also brought up Lars von Trier. If Lars von Trier did this story, he would be like abusive and tortured.
I
And
don't.
like
Well, yeah, but I mean, at that point, you're just getting into like what type of stories do these particular artists like tell?
true,
And
but I'm saying that this movie is a breath of fresh air
absolutely,
because it's
it's
none of that.
yeah.
I like too that this movie, like it ends on a positive note and everything. That's what I like about it because uh, a lot of movies like
She breaks
this,
up with him, right?
yeah, but it's not like
No, I know what you mean. I'm not saying
it
like, well,
doesn't
he
end on
breaks
a
up with her.
downer,
She
and
broke it
also
up with.
doesn't end like ambiguous, like ambiguously, like a lot of these type of movies. It just
It's
ends on a
blunt.
light note,
It's blunt.
and that's it.
It's light and blunt. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it strikes a very particular tone. I'm sorry. I'm looking over and the painting. I don't know if he's gonna ditch this one. I don't remember, but it looks remarkably like Anna. Wait, let me time. Yeah, 2:56:51. I'll have to remember. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you. Anyway,
Okay.
sorry. I just had to say something.
Yeah. But yeah. What do I was actually surprised I talked longer about this movie than I thought it was going to. I could.
It leaves you a lot, and it feels like a good like novella. It doesn't even like
I said earlier, it feels like it doesn't feel like its length really.
not really
I
no.
and it's weird because like I said earlier, this comparing to like a 4 hour movie, I said Love Exposure is actually a shorter movie than this, but and
My
I
God,
actually
is
like Love
it?
Exposure more than this. However, this movie actually, I remember a lot of times I said, man, Love Exposure is like the shortest feeling 4 hour long movie. This is actually beats it. I think this movie,
This absolutely beats it because
well, because
it
Love Exposure
it
2, the length, you actually feel the length more in, like the second half. Like it kind of when it gets like really like there's a bunch of shit going on and like it's really
oh
like
my God,
convoluted. It gets
it's
very
literally I'm
not
tired thinking about it in a good
yeah,
way.
like there's
It's
so
like that.
much, but like this movie there's not much to it,
Exactly.
but that's what makes it feel doesn't feel its length. That
It's a real like
yeah.
yeah. I mean, by virtue of its like
It's kind of
reservedness
similar.
and like
It's the same as I kind of compare. It's the same as like when you watch like one that's not boring, but
mhm.
like let's say there's like a 4 hour long podcast where it's just
Yeah,
people sitting around talking for 4 hours, but it's a good one, not like a boring one where it's actually interesting or funny and you're engaged with it and you actually
yeah.
sit through it for 4 hours. It's kind of the equivalent of that where um like that could be boring, but if it's engaging enough, you can actually like sit through it, even though there's not much that happens. It's kind of the equivalent of that, and so I've always said this though about movies, and I'm not knocking love exposure for it, but because I think it works in that movie. But I always say a lot of movies that are not very good are movies that get too like convoluted a lot. A lot of the best movies, in my opinion, are actually very like simplistic, and they're like storytelling and everything. Because you can do more with like a simple story. And it's a lot easier to follow. Whose movies are long and boring are
Mm.
like Christopher Nolan movies, like Interstellar. Like that, I don't even know what like every time I've watched that movie, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. Like there's too much convoluted. There's too much shit thrown at the wall to the point where you just like
I
kind of have fog brain. And that's why like a movie like 2001 Space Odyssey works more than Interstellar, because 2001 there's stuff that happens, but it's the way it's paced and everything, it's very simplistic. And I kind of similar to this movie, there's long like time frames where there's no dialogue or anything, but there's only like one thing happening, but it doesn't feel that boring because it's it's not throwing too much stuff at you. And it's kind of like the equivalent, like um a lot of times like it's like the same thing, like a novel, like a straightforward novel, like a basic story like novel is a lot easier to read than like a history textbook, because a history textbook has too much stuff. It's too much information. It's information overload, and so I just can't get like fog brain reading it. But movies that are very simplistic in their presentation. Not saying they're simplistic movies, because they have a lot of depth to them, but in their
yeah
presentation
yeah
are
exactly.
usually easier movies to
A
follow.
great example that I've seen recently is Visconti's Death in Venice. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I have it on my watch list thing. I've never watched it yet, but
Get to it. And I honestly, it wouldn't hurt to read the novella beforehand.
okay.
That's really how I knew like that this movie felt like a novella, because I read a novella recently, and I guess I'm comparing anything I can to a fucking novella, so I can say I've read a novella. Regardless, its brevity and its depth go hand in hand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't have one without the other. And I think uh as far as the Visconti film goes, it's a real masterclass in having like a film where like barely anything fucking happens. Like that movie, guy gets to Venice, he hangs out on the beach, he wants to fuck a boy, people are getting sick, he paints his face up, he dies wanting to fuck the boy. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like fucking like, you could sum it up in like that basically. And there's just still like pools of like stuff you can like swim through, and like endless shit you can chew on. And this movie here is much the same camp, I think.
Also,
Bit different though.
another movie I watched this year is similar to that, which we're talking about. That there's actually not much to it, but it's still very engaging
Mm-hmm.
and all that. Who said that? Oh yeah, the very obscure reference. That guy Gabriel from the What Movie One YouTube channel. His little Mexican friend, dwarf friend, would always because they would do movie reviews together, and he had like a speech impediment or something. His little dwarf Mexican friend, and he would always say, "Yeah, this movie had a lot of action and all that." That's what he always said, and all that, or everything. uh, I had to throw that out there. Shout out to What Movie One, classic
Shout out to
YouTuber,
whatever the fuck that is. I haven't heard of
classic YouTuber who I
it.
don't
Shouts
even
out.
know if he still makes videos.
Hell
uh,
yeah.
but anyways, it was this isn't about him. I don't want to get sidetracked. This is a very professional podcast, so
We're talking about shock today.
But another movie I watched this year, masterpiece, similar to what we're talking about, is Anno's uh, Ritual from 2000 is also like that.
Ritual. What is?
AKA Shikijitsu, I think. Uh, by Anno. I can't pronounce his first name.
Hadia, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That movie is a great example.
Now, what's that title again? Ritual.
Ritual, just Ritual. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From 2000. The other movie like that, very simplest, like in its storytelling, but very beautiful in its presentation. And yeah, you have to watch it. I might actually put that review that movie sometime. But yeah, that's a masterpiece that I don't think really anybody has watched. Not very many people have seen it. And and that movie too. It's written by Steven Seagal's daughter.
Word.
Yeah, she's
All
in
right,
it.
but I'm going on Letterboxd. So let's check this
It's
out.
on my. It's in my Letterbox
Yeah.
favorites. But
Damn.
and then it has what's his name? The director is in it. Uh, and yeah, really good movie. Kind of like what we've been describing with the other movies, but
That's interesting. I wouldn't expect Anno to go in that
yeah,
direction.
a
I'm
lot of
very
his movies
curious
are
about
like
this.
that. Well, like his like drama films.
I mean, maybe like, well, honestly, okay, honestly, I guess now that I think about it a little harder, maybe, but just like I'm very curious about like the overall style of this thing.
Yeah. Now that this one so far I've seen of his movies, that one's his best one by far. I think it's usually considered his best, anyways. I
Oh
think
yeah,
I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's one of the most beautiful. And honestly, it's one of the I'm not exaggerating. One of the most beautiful films I've ever seen, and I think actually it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, which is something I never say about almost any movie ever. And uh, yeah, it's a great movie. Also, he made that movie Love and Pop, which is good. It's not
that one
as
I've heard
good.
of.
Um, that one is interesting. It's weird. That one's weird. That one's like entirely shot on a video camera, like a regular home VHS camera.
But it's
But
like the
but it's a regular movie still, but it's just shot on one. But actually, it does add to the movie. It actually works with the movie or whatever. But
is that the one where he like will like hook up the thing to a fucking like microwave and shit or like fucking outlandish spots
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. He does stuff like that.
I that one I think is on my well, it's on my watch list in my head anyway.
Yeah. Ritual is his masterpiece,
Hmm.
though.
I'm
It's
really
weird. That's
excited.
a movie that's sad. I like almost like nobody has like seen that movie too. I think it's because it's really hard to find, but you can find it online easily. And also I think it's not that hard to find on Blu-ray. But yeah, I think everybody should watch that movie, especially like the movies like we're kind of done with La Belle Noiseuse, but if you like like that movie or like Death in Venice, Zach just mentioned, you probably like Ritual, like these type. I mean, they're kind of different from each other, obviously, but if you like that type of storytelling and that kind of we're like Ritual's actually probably closer to, I don't know about Death in Venice so much, but it's probably closer to La Belle Noiseuse, where you're just spending time with these two characters long periods. And actually Ritual's kind of similar, where they're actually like making the two characters are making a movie, home movie, and it's kind of about that, like you're just spending time with them, spanning time together, and um yeah, but yeah, anyways, we kind of went on a tangent about that, but you Do you have anything else to say about La Belle Noiseuse?
Um, I love long movies. I love um putting your pussy out for the whole world to see. I love um the French because I mean those when those guys are cooking, they're really fucking cooking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. God bless Jacques. Rest in peace. Pour one
Michelle,
out
rest
for
in
Jacques.
peace. Jane Birkin, rest in peace.
Jane, rest in peace. Emmanuelle, you're still kicking, honey. Love to see it.
Yeah, a lot of the I was just thinking about this today. A lot of those, like almost everybody that's was noteworthy in French. I'm not just gonna say French today, just French filmmaking in general is like gone now.
I mean,
They're almost all of them are gone.
well, I don't know. I don't know enough about more current French cinema, maybe to
But I'm talking like classic,
of like,
classic
oh
sort of
well, yeah, the classics,
directors
pretty
and
much.
actors. They're all gone now.
Pretty much. I mean, my
Yeah,
God, you know.
yeah. Like
Well,
everybody in Godar's,
Bardot is still kicking, and like,
everybody. Yeah, everybody in Godar's movies are dead. And Piccoli was in
almost.
Godard
Okay.
movies too. He's in Contempt and I think a couple others. But
Right.
uh, yeah, they're
Jesus Christ, it's depressing.
yeah,
Well, I
a lot of
guess
them.
whatever. Depressing maybe isn't the right word, but it is
Yeah,
moving. You know.
yeah, a lot of them are dropping. Also, speaking of old people, people that lived a long time, and finally died. Rest in peace to Roger Corman. Hate
Oh
to
well,
say
shit.
that.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised he's still alive.
I mean, you know,
He's very old. I think he's 98. I see he's like 98.
God
But
must have
yeah,
been.
he's I definitely have to mention him for obviously a movie podcast. He
God
is
bless.
and a lot of people I've been seeing people uh talking about it, but not that many. Which I think he does. He needs to be brought up a bit more. Because he is a lot of people like a lot of these like Kino bros like they kind of like dismiss him probably, but he is the actual most important like American filmmaker producer pretty much. Like he's
Yeah.
pretty much responsible for like uh
Scorsese, Coppola,
yeah, well,
Bogdanovich.
not just I was gonna mention that, but also like he's he's important. Like he's the reason why like American independent cinema is like even a thing, or like why like that even has like financing and stuff like that. Like he's pretty much the reason. Like
Yeah.
and uh yeah, he's literally the most important like
If
independent.
Cassavetes is like the sort of archetypal like indie like director, then he's the archetypal like independently minded, at least like producer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, without a doubt.
But yeah, because Roger Corman, and now there was movies back then that you know, that were very low budget, like what they call Poverty Row and stuff. But Roger Corman was the one that uh, also he's the god, pretty much the god for like you know like exploitation cinema and stuff. Like he's kind of responsible for like it was like we can just make a bunch of movies on like almost no money like in 2 days and stuff and profit a lot off of it um, and you could say whatever you want about his movies like and a lot of them were fucking garbage movies but you know yeah he's responsible for because when he started at first off didn't take industry didn't take him seriously but he made them a lot of money and stuff. He kind of opened that idea up that like you can make a lot of these movies off of, like no money and stuff and still like profit a lot and or it can actually be something or you can actually go somewhere with it
Mm-hmm.
and he's pretty much responsible for like almost all of Definitely like all of the new Hollywood movement and stuff. Like all those almost every director and like actor and stuff from that time period. Well, was started with his movies. He helped all their
Oh
start all
yeah.
their careers.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, yeah, freaking Coppola, Scorsese, fuck,
Bob
who else?
Rafelson, maybe, I think.
Jack
Definitely
Nicholson,
Monty
yeah.
Hellman.
I think
Monty
Dennis
Hellman's
Hopper, I
great.
think.
Yeah,
Uh,
and fucking Peter Fonda.
yeah, I think he helped the. Well, Dennis Hopper was in
They like linked
some
up
mainstream,
because
but
of like
yeah,
some. If it wasn't
they
Corman,
were.
it was
He
a movie.
produced
It was a
the
movie
Trip.
that was only gonna exist if fucking Roger Corman was alive.
Yeah,
That's like another thing because like that whole like exploitation scene or whatever, even beyond like actual like Corman productions, all that shit too was like a major way to like get your foot in that door. Like
yeah.
if you wanted to like work in film, or it helped if you were Henry Fonda's kid too, maybe. But you
And
know,
even he's Roger Corman. Even though Jack Hill made all those
hmm
movies. Roger Corman is pretty much responsible for even like black cinema or black exploitation being thing. Like he had the idea of
he
producing
was
like
a
a movie
heavy
with
pusher.
actual all black. He's responsible for Pam Grier's career,
hmm
and yeah, he helped all of those people. And
A
yeah, I don't
truly
think
incredible
cinema.
life.
I am glad he got. He did get that. What you would call it? That
Lifetime award.
honorary Oscar thing or whatever,
Oh, that's great.
where they
Honestly,
honored
good.
him because and he got that like
Well
a decade
deserved.
ago or something. But I'm
Yeah.
glad he got that because yeah, he's very important. A lot of people don't bring him up, but he's very important. Pretty much changed cinema. Cinema would be very different without him. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's responsible for all of that. You wouldn't have exploitation. You wouldn't even have. He also helped Lloyd Kaufman with Trauma, and because of that, Lloyd Kaufman also is responsible for a lot of careers, a lot of people and stuff. You wouldn't even have the South Park wouldn't be a thing without Lloyd Kaufman. Sam Jackson wouldn't be a thing without Lloyd Kaufman. Like also him because of Roger Corman helped a lot of initiated
It's
all
truly
that stuff.
breathtaking in scope. Cause I mean, since he died, I mean, like, I was like, oh, that's a real shame. That's really a
Yeah,
loss. But I haven't really stepped back and like considered just how influential and important his work was, and I'm
I
it's
think
moving.
too. Like even I don't know if those guys brought it up much, but I honestly think a lot of the I don't even think really much of the French New Wave would even exist without him either, because a lot of those movies and a lot of those movies are influenced by like Italian uh, realism or neorealism or whatever, which you can see in those movies. But if you watch a lot of early Roger Corman produced movies, like a lot of his crime movies and stuff, they're very French New Wave. How they're filmed, edited, and I'm pretty positive like all those guys probably watched a lot of his movies and stuff. At
Mm-hmm.
that time, obviously, and a lot of those movies were popular at the time and stuff. And so, yeah, I don't even think a lot of that stuff would exist without him.
If memory stands, there was once some like, and I could be maybe fudging this a little, but there was some Q&A that had I think um King Vidor, Peter Bogdanovich, Roger Corman, and Jean Luc Godard all in one like panel
Mm,
or something.
I've never
Which
seen that.
it was fuck. I wish I didn't lose that interview book. It was great. This Godard interview book, and there was
Mm.
like a transcript of that. And Godard didn't talk that much. He mostly just sort of sat back in his chair and looked sad and smoked, according to the guy who was writing. But um, regardless,
Well, Godard was all I do know. He was really into. He did watch a lot. Well, he watched a lot of American movies, but he actually was really into. At the time, before he started, when he was a film critic,
yeah.
a lot of those like 50s like noir films and things like
I
that,
mean, I know
stuff like
his
that.
dick was all types of hard for like Fuller and shit.
Which you do see in his like the movies he made.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
uh yeah, and another person which I think he died last year, but another influential guy which in a sense is Kenneth Anger is another one, and
Oh
he
man.
Godard, those guys actually were fans of his actually,
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's another. He's another one. I actually don't think as impactful as Roger Corman, but
No, I'd
we wouldn't
agree.
have the music video without Kenneth Anger.
We wouldn't have fucking Scorsese like
Yeah,
aped a tremendous. I
yeah,
mean, just like the pop music and like gritty, like
and
shocking
because of that,
violence
because of
juxtaposition
that, we
thing.
wouldn't even have that in like a lot of movies and stuff.
I
Like
mean,
Tarantino wouldn't be a thing, and Tarantino took
Jared,
that from Scorsese. The putting
forget
the
about it. Forget about
music in the
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, fucking yeah. You
Well, I
looked
was even
like
saying the
side by.
music videos in general. We wouldn't have the
I
idea
mean,
of like
yeah. I mean,
splicing random like kind of things, vague
he was
things with like
basically
music.
making like the
Yes,
earliest music videos.
yeah,
Yes, of course. I mean, yeah. God bless him. God bless him.
yeah. Very interesting fellow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny stories about him and stuff.
Yeah.
I've
I
never
mean,
read
he
his
doesn't.
book. I've never read his. I still want to read his book. The
Hollywood Babylon.
Yeah, I know that it's
Yeah, yeah,
mostly
yeah.
bullshit. I've
Well, of
heard,
course. I mean,
but
whatever. But like,
I still want to
that's
read
it's
it
not.
because it's
I
sounds
mean, it's got to
interesting,
be
funny.
fun. It's got to be fun. It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
I love the. I love how polite he was in his
Yeah,
interviews and such,
yeah,
while still always like seeming like kind of a stuck-up asshole
yeah,
somehow. May he rest in peace. I mean, of course.
yeah. I think he was like a. I think I heard too. He was like a in like a gay incel, pretty much.
I mean, what? I mean, I'm sure he was awful. I'm sure he was
Because I've heard
awful.
that he didn't really have like he never like had like a relationship. That
I'm
anybody
sure he got. I
and
mean,
people would ask him, he would be like kind of like, oh, like I can't, I'll never find.
he caught some dick.
Kind of like
Whatever.
Morris, kind of like a Morrissey kind of.
He's probably fucking intolerable to like be in any sort of a relationship
Yeah,
with. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure like later on in life, it was probably like kind of a different story from when he was like a fucking meth hungry younger man or whatever. But I mean, his whole vibe would just be so oppressive.
yeah,
I mean, really unlikable. But I mean, that's not. We're not talk. We don't know about him because of his poor relationship skills. Obviously, you know.
yeah. Um, yeah. But the thing is, we're losing all those guys now.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, we're in. I'm just thinking about a lot of the guys that are still alive that are around that age. What about Mel Brooks, Clint Eastwood,
He's
and
yeah.
Polanski?
We do still have Polanski.
Uh,
I
I
was
was
saying,
saying he's around the same age as a lot of
my
those guys.
mother was asking about like Weinstein's. I don't know why she was asking me necessarily. Maybe just because she figured I'd know because like I don't know movies maybe, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, she's asking about the Weinstein stuff or whatever, and I remember saying to her like, "Damn, you know something? I would let them. Well, not let, but like I'd be totally fine with them stoning Harvey Weinstein to death if we could just fly Polanski over to make like one more movie with like a solid script supervisor, you know? Like
Yeah.
I'd be so
Have
fucking
you
like
seen his
down.
latest? Have you ever seen his latest
I
movie
never
yet?
saw The Palace. I never saw The Palace, and to be honest, I don't know if I even really want to.
And people say it's like his worst movie he's ever made.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the,
I don't.
and I've heard like the plot. Have you heard like the plot? Just like things that happen in it?
Not like a lot, but like a couple
I've
things.
heard
And
like
I'm
some
like,
weird thing.
okay.
Is there like
So
a
he got
CGI
silly.
penguin character?
Yeah, there's like a penguin that's like CGI'd in
And
and
does
shit.
he like get like humped by the dog or something? There's something weird like that.
Oh God, I don't
It's
know.
like stuff out of like a fucking like scary movie or something
I
like
mean,
Polanski.
like, look,
You know what's
he
funny though?
always what?
Imagine if I would like to see Polanski like make a like, and that one sounds like it's like a comedy and stuff, but like I'd like to see him do like an American like comedy movie like that, like
Absolutely,
Skin.
that would be great. That would be very funny and very interesting. But you got to remember, like, for his time, I mean, he's basically kind of edged into like that general territory. I mean, he's made like I don't. You haven't seen Pirates, have you?
No, I've never seen
Pirates
Pirates.
is a fascinating film because it is truly just like a comedy. Like it's just a straight up like comedy.
Hmm.
And usually there's comedy in all his films pretty much, save maybe for like I guess like Death and the Maiden or something. But
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, his movies have like there's dark comedic moments in all his movies,
because
but
he's like he has a good sense of humor. I think
yeah.
it's fairly clear to see when in like interviews he's not say stodgy. but but yeah, like he's done like straight comedy before basically without much like whatever, and like even like children's comedy pretty much. I mean,
Oh, is Pirates
whatever,
like a
like
children's comedy type movie,
it's
or it's more light?
it's
It's
like
not.
more like a family
It's
film,
kind of
but
like
like
have you? It's kind of like when I've seen like clips saying from it. It kind of reminds me of Have you seen that movie like have you seen that movie Yellow Beard?
um
It
no.
stars isn't Graham Chapman from Monty Python in it?
No, I don't
And
think I've
Cheech and
seen that.
Chong are in it.
No, no, no,
It's
no.
kind of that's kind of the vibe I got from it, and that movie's kind of like that. It's that kind
I'd
of like
imagine you're right.
it's a comedy, but it's it's not too like edge, like it's kind of
It's a
light.
little lewd and like it's a little like I mean it's definitely like a touch out there, but like you gotta remember this like
And they made a lot of that was kind of a
1986.
thing in like the 80s, that type of movie. They made a lot of
There,
those type of
yeah,
movies.
yeah, because like
Yeah.
there wasn't really like there wasn't that much of a strict divide really between like what a children's film was, what a family film
Yeah.
was, what a adult film was,
Another
and
movie like
it
that's like
led to
Eric
some
the
very
Vikings
interesting.
like that.
I
Uh
haven't seen that. All
Terry
period
Jones
pieces,
made
it
that.
sounds like, which is interesting.
I remember kind of liking Eric the Terry Jones made it. I think a couple of the Monty Python. A lot of those guys made those type of movies
Oh
at that
yeah,
time.
fucking Time Bandits, like
Time
that
Bandits.
kind of
That was one of my. That was like in my top three favorite movies when I was a kid. Was Time Bandits.
based.
Yeah,
It's dope. It's dope. It's dope.
yeah. I haven't seen that in a long time.
God, me fucking either. Jesus, now that I think of it, wow, I was a baby.
The one I don't really care for, even though it's
Uh huh.
amazing, like visually and stuff, is Baron Munchausen.
I haven't seen. I've really.
Not a
I
fan.
haven't seen much Gilliam at all.
I've seen like almost. I think I've seen his old discography or filmography.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was a huge fan
that's
when I
cool.
was younger and stuff. Like, if there's like, I was in like middle school and high school.
I'd
Like,
check out. I
when I
kind
was
of
in
am
middle
curious
school,
about his
like Brazil
documentary.
was like one of my top favorite movies and stuff. But
Brazil's cool.
yeah,
I haven't seen it for a
I
while,
don't like
but
it
I remember
as
liking it.
much now though. I still like it quite a bit, but
I
not when I
remember.
was
I
in like in
remember.
middle school and high school. I was obsessed with that movie. But
I remember spending like, and I feel like I brought this up like a year ago or something. But I remember like watching it on a DVD and spending like what felt like an hour, like trying to pause it in just the right spot, so that in that scene where the short hair chick is naked in bed, you can kind of barely see like the top of
oh
the
yeah,
crack of her ass.
yeah,
And I remember that being like the peak of eroticism to me.
yeah,
And now look at me. I'm watching this some French bitch get painted for a couple hours.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
How time flies, you know.
yeah. I
If only someone turned me on to Revette when I was fucking 10 or
Oh,
whatever.
dude, this movie. If I discovered this movie when I was
Oh
like
Jesus.
13, I would never leave my room.
uh, Oh my god! I literally had that thought. I don't know if it was this watch even or like the last one or the only other time, but I was literally like, God, if I'd have a heart attack and die by the end of the film.
You know what movie?
By the
Another
halfway
movie like
mark,
that,
I'd be
which we
dead.
talked about a long time ago, was when I remember the first time I watched Blue Is the Warmest Color, and because that movie came out like when I was, I guess, like I was like 15, but
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself the first time I watched the movie, is like, if I watched this movie when it first came out, I
Uh-huh.
would I would be like, I'd be a different
Hospitalized.
man. I'd be a gooner. There would be no, if I was 15 and watched that movie, I would have been a
Oh
fucking
God.
gooner.
Don't let boys going through puberty watch like French art films. For the
Yeah.
love of God, don't do that to them. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve that torment
Yeah.
nor that gift.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so fucking funny. Uh,
Yeah, it's fun. Like I remember, like what was another movie I watched? Was I watched a few days ago? Was uh
mm.
it's not a good movie, but for some reason I sat through it. Was have you seen Striptease, Demi Moore?
uh, Jerked off to it, but no, I haven't seen it.
I've never even done that. I knew about it, but I never like
Yeah,
bothered. Whatever. That's another movie I saw. I
it's
was
bad.
watching it. I was watching. I was like, oh my god, like this.
What year was that?
Imagine if I watched this when I was 13. It would have been one of the movies. Like,
Oh man, one of your defining films.
yeah. Uh,
What
what
year was
was
that?
it?
What year?
It was 96.
Yeah, that kind of checks
It's
out.
kind of a weird movie because
Near the end.
they obviously made it because of Showgirls.
No,
Um,
Showgirls was later, wasn't it?
no, it's a year before. And that's the
Wait,
reason why they made it,
are
because
you
of
telling me
the
Showgirls was 95?
yeah, it's 95.
No, I feel like I knew that, but like I always think of Showgirls as like a late 90s movie for
And
whatever
it's
reason.
weird because that's why they made Striptease, because of the I think that's why I heard, because of show they wanted to make another like Showgirls type movie, but that was also
Were
a
they
movie
hoping
too.
to like
They made a
make it a
big deal about it
success?
because Striptease, because Demi Moore got extra money just to be naked a lot in the movie. That was the whole
Uh,
gimmick of the movie. She got paid like 13 million for the movie
well,
or
maybe
something.
she should have a little chat with Miss fucking Emmanuelle Beart, because
Yeah, but
that's a
yeah,
pro right there, honey.
and it's that's a weird.
God,
Striptease is a weird
that's
movie too.
fucking. I mean, I'm really like anti-American actress, honestly. Like
I
they're all so fucking like weak. Like they're
well, I
so.
also think too, like like Demi Moore, at the time, was very attractive in the movie, but actually pretty hot in the movie. But the thing is about American actresses like that is I've never been like too like infatuated with them, like a lot of people, like like somebody is another one who was hot, also hot at the time, like Angelina Jolie, but I'm not infatuated with Angelina Jolie. I don't
No.
there's actresses like that, like I can recognize it, but I'm not like enthralled with their. I'm not like, oh wow, I have to watch that movie just to look at them, or oh wow, I have
Yeah.
to. I'm still like but yeah, like a lot of like French actresses, like or people like that, I'm more like enthralled, like with
Mm-hmm.
especially like like yeah, like somebody like Leah Seydoux. Like I'm enthralled with her. Like I'll just watch movies that are not even good just because she's in it, just to look
Straight
at
up.
her.
Yeah. God bless. And like fucking,
And there's
that's a gift. You know.
yeah, and um you know or somebody like Anna, or we going older, like Anna Karina, Also, but here's the thing too, like I'm actually more enthralled with like when it comes to American actresses, like more older actresses, or like towards classic Hollywood type era. Not so much. I'm not really enthralled with like a lot of like '90s or like modern actresses, or a lot of those ones. I'm not
Sure.
too enthralled with.
Sure.
Uh, uh,
I don't know. Honestly, just shouts out to any directors who have made a name for themselves based on how like pretty the ladies in their movies are.
yeah.
Honestly, Rivette, in my view, is included. If you look at the fucking, if you look at the
You
like
gotta bring up
female
David
cast,
Lynch.
well, Jesus, forget about it. If you look at the
David Lynch
cast of
has
Out
like
One,
good
that's
taste.
like
He has like the good taste of women.
he is the best taste. We all know this.
Yeah.
We all know this. If you look at the cast of Out One, all the ladies, you
Actually, not even the
basically
lady. What's up, the
motherfucker. Can you
guy?
please like let me finish the sentence?
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's fine. Fucking it's fine.
Even like I was gonna say, like, what about the guys?
Yes.
Like even like Kyle MacLachlan's hot.
Kyle's hot. Yeah, absolutely.
It's very
Killer Bob, sexy. Gets me horny.
Did you know he died of AIDS?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a faggot.
Well, they didn't say why or how.
Die, faggot.
They didn't say.
David Lynch. David Lynch comes out in controversial statement. I'm glad that guy died of AIDS.
And then
The
they brought him
sun,
back.
the
They brought
weather
him back
is.
as a bowling ball.
It's a warm 99 degrees out, and I'm glad that guy I worked with died of AIDS. Because he's a godless faggot who liked getting it up the ass. I'm putting my shades on so I don't have to think about this guy getting pounded in his bottom.
Beautiful blue sky,
Beautiful
golden
blue sky,
sunshine,
golden
faggots dying.
sunshine. My former actors are dying of AIDS. This
That's
is
crazy
something I've
too.
noticed.
You know who has actually a higher death count than Godard is David Lynch. Almost all the people in his shit are dead.
That's
Twin Peaks, the Twin Peaks curse, like they're almost all dead, like the cast.
they're fucking. That's not even true though.
Yeah, like a lot of his every old actor in his projects
there were a lot of
die.
older. There were a lot of older than they looked like folks in that show. Really, that's another thing.
They're almost like all dead except for
He really like fucking like as best as one can like fucking like hit it with the return when you just look at how many people died like right after that shit got shot basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It's I mean I guess that's a part of the I guess that's kind of a nice thing about movies maybe to some extent.
Yeah. I'm old school, Denise. You know that.
You know that. I don't like faggots. I like coffee and painting, and I don't like homosexuals.
I'm old school, Denise. You know. Denise. Anything else? We rambled about other stuff, but anything else about anything? Film?
Oh well, before we do go, hopes for Megapolis or whatever.
Oh yeah, which I will have to talk about on the show when it if I actually comes out and I can see it.
It'll come out. It's coming.
I'll have to talk about it.
See it in IMAX, says Coppola.
Okay.
Honestly, baller move that he did that apparently without like consulting IMAX or something. That fucking rocks. And it worked. They fucking like they agreed.
Well, yeah, because it's like, well, it's Coppola. So.
God, fuck, we gotta show
like
this
that.
shit.
If you have a name like that, you can get away with.
I mean, hell, he did. Like, he literally got this made. Yeah, he got it. He got it made with money basically entirely from selling like shares in his winery and he got it made also with like 2 Me Too'd actors, plus fucking like no one like liked the script as far as like producers and studios goes. I mean, it's so baller. It's baller as fuck, and I'm
The cast
excited.
is insane.
The cast is wild, 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 wild.
Yeah.
Fucking a midnight cowboy reunion, like
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Aubrey Plaza,
Yeah. Jason
and to
Schwartzman.
boot, like the biggest like leading man or the most like wanted leading man or most working leading man around right now.
Yeah.
It's all it's awesome. It's just awesome. I wonder who Paul Newman was gonna play in his mind. If you look at even if you look at just the fucking like people who were at table reads, it's an insane fucking like lineup. Like,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway. I'm very
This is gonna be
excited.
the film of all films.
Probably not, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be like cool. Like there's no
One
way.
little gripe.
What?
No Gallo.
No Gallo. I'm sure there
If
was
he
some. He
was
could
in
have
it,
played Jason
perfect.
Schwartzman's
Even if it was the
character.
smallest role, perfect.
Fucking
Absolutely.
honestly.
It would have been the cherry on the top.
he
I guess.
plays like he plays like a fucking like doorman or something.
Yeah.
He's in it for like a couple frames. He opens the door for fucking Shia and Aubrey. Audrey? Is it Aubrey Plaza?
Aubrey.
Aubrey, yes.
She has
I
a
like
black
her. I
man's
should
name.
fucking know it. I'm fucking. She looks good in that. I like her with blonde, as a blonde.
Yeah.
Shia looks. I mean, you know, my ass freaked out with the drag photos, like all the way back when
Yeah.
those got leaked. You know, my ass got so excited.
Yeah. I'm glad that Coppola's like making a movie like this too. Like, um,
it's great, yeah.
he has balls doing it. Like, you know who doesn't have balls and can make movies like this, but doesn't have the balls because uh, he's scared of people criticizing his movies as George Lucas.
Yeah.
And supposedly, I guess he
Howard.
has written like script like different types, not even just like sci-fi, but just like actual like regular movies and stuff. But he just will not make it because uh, nobody knows why. Either he's
He's
scared.
scarred probably from having his fucking like from following up more or less like the biggest thing he ever created in his life
And that's
with
what's
like
depressing. Like, I'm not
3
even a
movies
fan.
that
I'm not
got
a
him
fan.
absolutely like ass raped by the people who like before then would have been like he's a saint, he's a perfect
Yeah.
man. I mean that has an effect. Like you think fucking like Hayden Christensen or the fucking kid who played little Darth Vader like got fucked up from the experience. Like Jesus, I mean, look at the auteur behind it all. You know?
Well, that's the thing too. That's also what like. Listen, I'm actually not a fan of THX and American Graffiti. I'm not a fan of those movies, but what I will say is that what's depressing about George Lucas is, yeah, that's why I was like that's why I do like I do respect his like early career and stuff, even though I'm like, not a fan of a lot of his
Yeah,
projects and stuff.
I
I
haven't
actually
seen
think his
them.
short film work was actually more like he made in his like 20s or was actually more interesting than a lot of his feature length stuff. But
I'm curious. I have been curious about those shorts.
the one reminds me a lot of the Brown Bunny actually,
Interesting.
the one he made about the race car driver guy.
That's
Uh,
cool. I want to check it
uh,
out.
actually, it's pretty cool, but that's the thing about him. It's depressing. Is like he should have just made like other movies, like, and he didn't have to be like a star. Just let's say just regular movie is like just any genre and stuff. I don't even like a drama or something. I don't. It's just his career. He to me he's just like wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he kind of I guess he thinks has improved it but I think he's just kind of like wasted like potential talent, pretty much. That's kind of how I always view him. Like he's just like he doesn't give a shit, and he said in an interview all he cares about is building things. He just pays money to build like random buildings for him and shit. And that's all he cares about. He doesn't like care about movies and stuff. And I just
No, he
think it's
should have
like
been an architect. I don't know.
I just think it's just his film filmography is just depressing.
He
Like
strikes me as somebody who like probably didn't maybe really want to like continue making movies at all, but like he hit the jackpot on one of them, and he just like was like, I
yeah,
gotta really fucking just zone in on this shit.
yeah.
I gotta lock the fuck in.
I
And then
think
he
he
stopped making movies, pretty much. like
yeah
like he
he took his
barely
money.
directed anything past like I
He hasn't
mean,
directed anything in 20 years.
yeah, but like did he direct Howard the Duck, or did he just produce it?
Which one?
Howard the Duck.
He just produced it.
Yeah, like he produced a number of things.
He wrote the
I was
only
like,
last
wow.
project he worked on was that he wrote that Indiana Jones movie that I think he no he didn't write that actually I take that back I don't think he wrote I think he came up with a story or something that doesn't count
Well, that I
but
mean, I don't know. Maybe he did like
I
the
don't think
first,
he had any creative control over that Indiana Jones movie that nobody watched
the
but I
the
think
newest one or the
yeah the
Shia one.
newest one
The newest one.
yeah
I see.
nobody watched that or remembers
Nobody fucking watched it. God, it makes me sick thinking about
I
it.
don't
I don't
even
want to
like
talk
have the
about it.
urge to even I don't even have curiosity to even watch it that's how
Not
lame
in the slightest. I don't want to. I don't want to keep talking about it.
well here's the thing no Shia should return.
Fucking like literally have some balls like
yeah.
Francis and put a fucking like
Yeah.
a self-described nuclear bomb in your movie.
Yeah, I think he wrote the last thing. I think he didn't he write. There was that kids movie. I know he produced it. I think he actually wrote it though.
I was listening
No,
to
yeah, he did the yeah he oh he came up with the story. See, he created the characters and everything. Strange Magic, this children's film that nobody watched, CGI film.
um
He
yeah,
created
no
the
interest.
characters and everything. I
No
remember it came out.
interest. You know,
People kind of made a big deal about it only because it was like, they're like, wow, like he didn't write it, but he created the characters and everything, which was that's what people were kind of making a big deal because he never like did something like that in a long time. Actually, like created something new. But
literally.
yeah, nobody. It looks like fucking dog shit.
You know, the more we talk about this man's filmography, the less I want to talk about this man's filmography.
I'm not a fan of Spielberg, but I respect him more
I'm much.
because at least he's
Spielberg's
like,
an artist.
well, yeah, he
I
makes what
mean,
he wants.
he's
I
like,
don't
I guess,
like
whatever you
everything,
want to
but he
call him, like
makes
kind of a
what he
button
wants.
pusher or a fucking like a mogul type now. I mean, I guess,
Yeah,
but like, regardless, he's got like he's an artist. Like,
yeah.
you know, I hate to say it, maybe, but I don't know.
And speaking of David Lynch, that's the only scene I've seen from his newest movie. David Lynch's John Ford.
Fablemans. I thought the Fablemans was good. I
Oh
liked
yeah,
the fucking
I
Fablemans.
might. I'll probably watch
All
it.
right.
I love Lady fucking Lynch.
Lynch is great. Fucking like I wouldn't have expected it, but brilliant casting.
yeah,
He plays it beautifully.
yeah. I yeah I.
Anyway, look, whatever. I mean, fucking those guys are all fucking like pussies compared to Francis, because like I mean, you know, he did it. Like he did the shit that all these motherfuckers probably like talk about. Like, you know, I'm really gonna fucking like now that I have the power, I'm gonna really start doing like buckling down and doing some crazy shit. And like it's like the most ambitious shit that those guys have done in the past like however many years. It's like what Killers of the Flower Moon, which I like. I think it's a great movie, but it's not anything like tremendously special.
No, and yeah, well, what I like always respect about Coppola, his career since Apocalypse Now has just all been risk taking. Like, I don't like all of his movies,
Even the shit
but
that's like technically like a for hire gig, it's still like so like Jack.
yeah,
Just look at Jack. like just read that fucking synopsis and tell me that you don't think that's going to be a massive fucking bomb. But he fucking went with it because he was like, I want to make a kids movie. I want to make like something for the kids.
yeah, and that's what I was saying. All his whole film art is just been all like risk taking, and that is what I respect about like. And he's another director. I respect him more than like fucking George Lucas. He actually goes for it, makes what he wants, and that's why like I don't like George Lucas too, because like in interviews, people are like, when are you gonna make more movies? He's like, oh, I have scripts and stuff. It's small films, gonna be small films, and George Lucas. He's a pussy. Like he has all these ideas, but he won't make because he's scared, like what people would say and stuff. Like, and at least Coppola, like he just fucking, and that's the thing too. Like, I feel like if Lucas did make a movie, it would be similar to Coppola. Like we would see kind of a lot like these type of movies and stuff, but he just doesn't go for it, you know. And I think
mean,
that's
I'd be the
depressing.
first in line. I'd be the first in line to fucking see George Lucas like fucking like what's the phrase batting to the fences or something, or like
Yeah,
batting. Yeah, like I'd be first in line to fucking see him put it all out there, but
yeah, he just
I
doesn't.
mean
I don't
he's
know.
not interested. Like he's not. I don't
He's
know.
kind of like he's actually kind of like Gallo, kind of.
Lucas.
Yeah, where maybe
In a
that's what it is. Where
sense.
they don't feel a need to even make another movie. It's just like that's it. And other
Well,
things.
I mean, well, whatever. I'm not
But I
interested
don't
in
think
speculating.
Gallo. I would say does it out of being a pussy. Like he will if he does have something. But I think George Lucas is actually scared.
Hmm.
That's what I
I
think.
mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be the only
Yeah.
scared, or he's just truly like not interested anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
way,
We'll stop talking about him.
fucking God bless Francis,
Yeah.
and God bless Jacques Rivette,
Yeah.
and yeah, Roger Corman. God bless Roger Corman.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. You're all
I
gonna fucking die soon, so just whatever.
and that's why I brought up what up Mel Brooks and Clint Eastwood are still
Yeah.
around. Uh, Clint Eastwood is dude, like some of those recent photos are actually like I think are depressing. I've seen of him.
Uh, I don't
But
know. I don't
yeah,
care. I'm
like
not. I'm not. I'm kind of. I don't care. He's done enough. He can
he's
just
old.
like
He's really old. Live a
sit
long
him
life.
down under a fucking like plum tree or something and like just let him die.
Yeah. You know who
Like
does? Polanski still, I think, actually looks. I've seen he looks. The last I've seen of him, he looked good.
he's always had a, excuse the term, youthful spirit to him,
Yeah.
and that's been like well remarked upon. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe that fucking ghetto life really just really puts an extra dose of life into
You know
you.
that Clint Eastwood, I think, is he working on another movie? His final film.
Yeah, juror number two with
Yeah.
like Tony Collette. It's like, who fucking cares? I don't know. I'm over it.
Our funniest discussion ever was Cry Macho.
Without a doubt, probably my favorite like
Yeah.
memory in my we'll say spotty podcast career. Got to be
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah.
moment or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a funny movie. Yeah, we could wrap this up, but
yeah. I'm
yeah.
fucking jeez.
I didn't know it was gonna go. I thought we were just gonna end it with levelness, but that's fine. Uh, yeah.
This was a nice
Anyways,
coda.
yeah. Thanks for listening to.
Thanks for having me on. By the way.
Yes. There will also be because some people might be confused because I didn't really explain it. If you have got if you have gotten this point, there will be the whole point of the show. Zach might be on here and there, but I'm gonna try to. So I'm gonna be the constant main host, but I'm gonna be trying to get different guest hosts and people like that every episode. So it'll actually like switch out a lot, and so you're probably wondering who's it gonna be. It will be either like Zach or people I know like Zach, like friends or whatever that have a lot to say about a certain movie or whatever it is. Or I'm also gonna have other guests like other film reviewers, YouTubers, or even actually people that are involved with whatever film. Like I'm gonna try to get like maybe like an actor or somebody like that was involved. So and those ones will be interesting because they'll be like kind of half interview, discussing the process and stuff. So that's what it's gonna be. There'll probably be episodes though where it's just gonna be me solo. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get different guests and sometimes maybe repeated guests each episode. So it's gonna be a new different co-host each time. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, anyways, thanks for listening.